Count Corla, your finishing sentence, Minister, in your statement is that we want to move on from the present controversy in relation to penalty points. And effectively what you're saying is that the dogs may have barked, but your caravan is going to move on. And that is the difficulty. Because in another part of your statement, as you speak about minimising this issue, you talk about it's a very minor piece of what the Garda do. Well, let's put it this way.
I quoted what the... Sorry.
Oh, I know you did, yeah. In favour of your position. You were explaining your own position. Oh, yes, you were.
We won't have any across the floor.
So the fact of the matter is...
To the Chair. Thank you.
The fact of the matter is that the culture in this case is what has to be protected. That is essentially what happened here. You would not be here today were it not for the fact that you set out to protect the culture that has led us to this destination. And that is true. That is a fact. Now, in looking at it, you just have to take your attitude towards Maurice McCabe and John Wilson. And by the way, something that you didn't do, we should wish John Wilson a speedy recovery. No doubt all of this has had an impact on his health. Did you ever meet Maurice McCabe and John Wilson? Did you ever speak to them? Is it your intention to call them in and ask them about this debacle and to understand just exactly what information they gave to the Road Safety Authority, that they gave to the Comptroller and Auditor General, and that they gave to the Public Accounts Committee? Do you know what documentation was in circulation? Have you seen it? And do you understand why those two serving policemen, Maurice McCabe and now retired John Wilson, were so annoyed and upset about that system that they put their career at stake and came out and then became known as the whistleblowers? Now, let's take it as read that all of what you say about the goodness of the Gardaí and the work that they do is true and beyond doubt. None of us are questioning that. What we are questioning is the culture that condemned those two men the minute they opened their mouths, the minute they said there is something wrong. And I like to look on them as concerned citizens employed within the Gardaí. Whistleblowers has a whole lot of other, I think, meanings that you could draw from. But these are concerned citizens that came forward and backed up their statements with facts and with truth. And when they tried to get the institution to understand that there was something wrong here, the work of the culture and the protection of that culture kicked in. And you, Minister, were part of that protection. You were the one that didn't listen. Lots could have been done, but you didn't do it. In fact, I raised these issues here in another debate when you were sitting right opposite me. And the only thing that you raised with me by letter after that was why the lady whistleblower didn't use the processes that were there for her. You wrote to me. Maybe it's another fault that somebody else over in that department has stamped that letter and you know nothing about that letter either. But that's the only issue you raised with me. And I ask you here today, why should she go and use the processes? She went to the confidential recipient and he told her straight up, the last person that used this system is washing cars in Navan. After that statement was made in the Dáil by me, did you then go and check that out? I doubt it. And yet she was telling you something that was wrong with the system. She was declaring it couldn't be trusted. We've heard nothing from the confidential recipient, now relieved of his duties, in relation to what happened. Nothing whatsoever. And surely there must be a body of information there that that man could give to you or give to the Commissioner or the Acting Commissioner in relation to all of this debacle. But no attempt has been made by the department or by you to get that information. And that lady's case is still out there. It's still there to be dealt with. But she was bullied and pushed out of the force, just maybe like John Wilson, but not Sergeant McCabe. And what impressed us most about his contribution to the Public Accounts Committee, in spite of all the legal advice that we got not to do this, he turned up in full uniform and he sat on his own opposite all of the members of the PAC, and he told us his side of the story without mentioning one single name, and told us that he was proud to be before the Public Accounts Committee, proud to be a member of the force, but it needed to be sorted out. That is his basic fundamental message. And yet during the course of the Omani and during the course of the investigation and the comments being made by the whistleblower, nobody went to him. In any other factory or business or whatever establishment, if there was an employee speaking badly of the organisation, surely the foreman or the boss would have gone down and said, can we sit down and have a chat about this? We need to sort this out. And that didn't happen either. Now, you apologise today, Minister. You apologise to John Wilson and to Maurice McCabe. What about that lady whistleblower that you didn't apologise to? What about the treatment you gave them before you made the remarks here? The letters, put up or shut up, which essentially is what you were saying to them. What an awful way to deal with two men who had nothing in their mind but the betterment of the force. Will you apologise to the lady whistleblower who's now out of the force, forced out of it, because she made a complaint of being sexually harassed within the force? Is that something that you're going to support? Is that something that you should investigate? I believe it is. Will you apologise to Lucia O'Farrell, whose son was killed on the roadside? And a number of legal-minded people have said to her that you should do something about it as Minister. I raised that case with you on the same day as I spoke here before, but you never wrote to me about that case. And you have the file. Did you look over that file? Are you going to do anything with it in relation to Lucia O'Farrell? Because in her case, it highlights all of the wrongs with this system, with the investigation, with the Attorney General's office, and indeed with the system of justice in this country. And I'm appealing to you today to ensure that that case is included for consideration. And as Minister Hogan whispers sweet nothing into your ear, I hope that you haven't, misunderstood, or that you have heard clearly what I've had to say in relation to that case. Will you apologise to the travelling community, whose records are now on the Pulse system? Went into the Garda barracks to have papers signed for a passport, and ended up the whole family being profiled on the system. 16-day-old children on the system. No record, nothing. But yet they're all on the system. Human rights being violated left, right and centre. And what about you, Deputy Minister Fitzgerald, protector of the children of this country?
Sorry, you don't address.
Would you not take in consideration
you shouldn't be
in relation to that?
Questions to a
I believe that you should. I believe you
should. Are you listening to me, Deputy?
And can I ask you, Minister?
You don't address questions to other ministers during the course of a debate.
Okay, well, Minister,
please,
Minister for Justice, then.
The rules of debate.
Minister for Justice, maybe someday you're having a conversation with Minister Fitzgerald. You might ask her about that. Or will you apologise to the family in Wicklow, whose son took his own life? And again, there are implications there for the Gardaí. Or what about the lady and the granddaughter and daughter of a lady who was killed in an accident and reported it to GSOC, and they can't get an appointment with the Garda that's investigating that case? Doesn't that show you that there is something seriously wrong within the management of the force? And doesn't it underline for you the need for a thorough investigation in an overarching way on all of the issues that are being debated here in this House for the betterment of the force?
Thank you.
And I ask you again, will you meet with the whistleblowers? Will you meet with Lucia O'Farrell? Will you meet with the family in Wicklow? And will you meet with the others that have concerns about how their cases were investigated? Because you will learn from that and hopefully then do something to reform the department, the system of justice and those that are responsible.
Thank you. I now call.
Controller, perhaps Deputy McGuinness, between now and when we have questions, might revert to his files, and in relation to the issue he raised about a member of the force who is a woman, female member of the force, he might go back to the correspondence he purported to reference, and he might come back and tell the House why he didn't respond to me.
Sorry.
I believe that this is a forum where
Excuse me, resume your seat. Thank you very much. Sorry.
you would investigate that case.
Deputy, would you please?
Instead of throwing out a red herring today, but me replying to your letter. This is where I raised it, and this is where I replied to you.
Would you please resume your seat? Resume your seat, Deputy. Deputy, resume your seat. Deputy, resume your seat. That was not.